Hey everyone, it's me, Ryan. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, well, look, I don't care. Stop whining. I'm kidding, of course. It's hard not to be curious about what is going to come out of E3 this year. One studio that I personally have been curious about is Obsidian, who over the years has probably had some hits and misses, mostly hits. Regardless, their reputation, at least from what I have seen or what it seems like, has remained pretty intact and in high regard amongst gamers, including myself. I like a lot of their games. Fallout New Vegas and Knights of the Old Republic 2 are probably my two favorite games of all time, and even the underrated and simultaneously also very bad Alpha Protocol. Alpha Protocol is a bizarre game that I really enjoyed when I played it, but its gameplay is atrocious and it had a lot of ideas that just didn't work out. But regardless, they're a good studio and I like their stuff. There's some reporting out there that Obsidian is set to have a big E3 presence this year. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but it implies that they have a lot to show, which as a fan of theirs is very exciting. But the rumors suggest they could be potentially announcing a sequel to their 2019 game, that's how you say 2019, The Outer Worlds, or show off their Elder Scrolls style RPG Avowed. So let's take a look at what we know. Of course, I will direct you to ye old subscription button should ye be wanting more content like this. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but please subscribe. So there's obviously a couple parts to this. What do we know and what don't we know, right? As with most rumors in the industry, the sources here are the same few people that always leak stuff, and then there's some rando in the weaves of the various Reset era posts and subreddits and the like with an awesome name that tells us they can be trusted. Tell us your secrets, secretly odd named person on the internet. That sounded better in my head. That shouldn't stop us from talking, predicting, or discussing what is going to possibly come from the next Obsidian game, or come next from Obsidian, and what is going to come from them at E3. Now, first off, we know Microsoft and Bethesda will have a joint press conference at E3 Sunday, June 13th. You can likely expect Obsidian, or at least I hope, for them to have a presence there. At least that's what it might seem like, assuming they do have anything to show, and even if they don't, they might tease something anyway. Jez Gordon at Windows Central recently implied we could see Avowed at E3 and a number of other games from Obsidian. Jez Gordon wrote a report about what they expect to see from Xbox's E3 2021 press conference. Gordon has apparently heard conflicting information about what Obsidian games will be at E3 and whatnot. I almost said A3. Apparently, there's a 50-50 chance that Obsidian's Elder Scrolls inspired game Avowed will be at the show. That's that Pillars of Eternity crossover kind of game that they've always wanted to make or something. But that would be a big deal, especially if we're waiting a long time before we get like another Elder Scrolls or mainline Elder Scrolls game. Now, I want to quote Jez Gordon's actual report, of course, so you get it in Gordon's own words. It seems fair, right? I don't want to take him out of context. Obsidian, however, could appear in a big way. I've been told conflicting information about the possibility of Avowed being at the show, which is Obsidian's first-person RPG set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, making me think there's a 50-50 chance we could see something on it. I've also been told that surprisingly Outer Worlds 2 may be announced. Grounded has also been cited for a potential content showcase detailing some new upcoming features. Now, Avowed was just shown off last year in a very short cinematic kind of concept trailer where it looked like Skyrim, or heavily inspired by Skyrim. For better or worse, we'll have to see. I don't know how far along it is. The thing is, a lot of these companies tend to just blow their loads too early. I know how it goes. You're getting down to business, getting funky, and you get a bit excited and oop, there it goes. And just like your partner in this scenario will need to finish themselves off because you unloaded too early, us gamers want to be given the opportunity to finish as well. It happens to everybody. That analogy felt good to make, and I don't apologize. Thanks for watching. But instead of showing us and announcing stuff when they have stuff to show and announce, they end up just putting up concepts and title cards. And those are cool and they do get people excited, but I would rather you just show it off when you have something to show off. But we'll get back to Avowed in a bit. A sequel to The Outer Worlds to me is not the most surprising thing. The Outer Worlds did well itself. I wasn't really that into it, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't welcome a sequel. I think they should probably evolve the format of the original game because I find the whole portrait style dialogue to be dated and it really held back the experience just a tad for me. I have other reasons why I wasn't in love with The Outer Worlds, but I would like to see what they would do for a potential sequel. A recent job listing on Obsidian's website could point to this. The listing is for a lead technical artist and the description reads, Technical Artist World Performance. Obsidian Entertainment is looking for an experienced, proficient, communicative, and collaborative lead technical artist to assist our growing team of RPG developers with world building, tools, pipeline, and performance on an unannounced project. The position requires requires a solid understanding of the current concerns, performance monitoring tools, and pipelines for open world development in Unreal 4 on PCs and consoles. The lead technical artist will lead and manage other technical artists and collaborate with the art director, technical director, game director, and production artists. So what you see here from the job listing, it would appear there's an unannounced open world project in the works at Obsidian. I would say it is Avowed, but Avowed has been announced already, and the next logical conclusion would be a sequel to The Outer Worlds. And Grounded we know about as well, so unless there really is something in the periphery in the works separate from The Outer Worlds, it's possible we could see the announcement of something else entirely. Then there's this job listing too for an environment artist. Obsidian Entertainment is looking for a talented, self-motivated environment artist to join the team making our next world-class RPG. Now, a lot of those job listings that you see on the site will say things like that. We want you to work on this new RPG or help us develop cross-platform RPGs or next-gen RPGs in Unreal Engine 4. Obsidian is hiring up. That doesn't mean it's The Outer Worlds 2. It could be something entirely different. But Obsidian doesn't have a lot of IP at the moment, technically, aside from those. The Outer Worlds and Grounded and Avowed, I guess Pillars of Eternity, I guess they do have a lot of IP. The other reason this is all up in the air is that Jeff Grubb, the man that knows everything, including the day that I'm going to die, but I asked him not to tell me. I want to be surprised. On his podcast, he was asked by a viewer if Avowed would be at E3, and he confidently and flat out said no. The part that he left out is that he didn't say I won't be at E3, which I know nobody was expecting me to be, but I felt that you wanted to know, or you should know, as my audience of people. Yesterday, technically about 2 weeks ago, Jeff Grubb released a new episode of the Game Mess podcast, or Game Mess Show podcast, in which he was asked by a viewer if we can expect to see Avowed at E3. Jeff responded no. However, on Reset Era, a user called Sponger, who has a history of leaks regarding Obsidian and In Exile, seems to think otherwise. According to Sponger, the info that I have is that we'll have a trailer for our big game at E3. They also say that Avowed will be shown this year, and the game is in great shape and almost fully on schedule. Now, this is why I say it's anybody's guess what role Obsidian will play at this year's E3, whether they will show anything. Most people expect something from them, as do I. They're too big of a studio to not. In fact, I would even expect at the very least some announcements regarding Grounded, maybe like a full release date, because that's been around for quite a bit, you know? It's hard to say since there are conflicting sources. You have Jez Gordon saying, there's a 50-50 shot that we won't, or that we will. Jeff Grubb saying we flat out won't, and then there's this dude on Sponger on Reset Era saying that they were under the impression we would see something at E3 about Avowed. Again, Sponger reportedly has a history of leaks about and rumors about Obsidian, so if they're to be believed, Avowed is in the cards. But I want to turn to what they specifically said, of course, so let's pull up that Reset Era post. Nothing is happening. Oh, right. I'm the editor. Future Ryan, please bring up the post. I need to say that I'm a little confused with Jeff's statement that Avowed will not be ready for E3, as the info that I have is that we'll have a trailer for our big game at E3, and Avowed will be shown this year, and the game is in great shape, almost fully on schedule. I didn't post it a few weeks ago, as you know how things can go crazy if you post anything. Also, I don't want to speculate anything, as I know that Jeff has a great record, and it could be related to planning, but the game is in good shape, and it will be shown this year. From the conversation, I was convinced that it would be a gameplay trailer for E3. Now I'm pretty much confused. Now, I do take everyone at their word here. I don't have a reason to believe that anyone is lying or trying to mess with us, but we also don't know their sources, so it's a who's who, of course, is who to trust and why. Also, I quickly want to just throw it out there that I find it funny that these outlets continually cover these leaks anytime some random person on the internet who has a supposed history of the leaks says they know something. In this case, it's Sponger. In other cases, it's Smitten Kitten 34, who has a history of leaking the nuclear launch codes, but they give you no extra context or even a brief explanation of what they leaked and were correct on. So to say someone has a history of leaks is like me telling you I have a history of wetting myself when I was younger, but the follow-up question being, when did you stop? Or did you? I am not calling into question the hypothetical Smitten Kitten 34 or Sponger's credibility per se, just saying it's very easy for us to see an article reporting on a rumor or leak, and it's by one of those people, and it makes us all confused, and gives us the butterflies of asking a girl to prom. We're just not sure. I recognize I made a video about said reporting, and that's what this is, but I just wanted to throw it out there that I think these outlets could provide more context for casual viewers and dumbasses like myself, who don't like to read that much. I'm just kidding, I read fine. Sure, if you search Reset Era and Sponger on Google, you'll find a bunch of the guys' posts on these threads, so I'm not saying they don't have a history of leaks and rumors, just saying be careful not to get yourself too hyped on rumors and leaks until we know more. However, it's always fun to just discuss things. It depends on how far along Avowed is, in my opinion. When they showed off that brief look, I got the impression that it was a ways off and was still in the early stages of development, and what we saw was more of a kind of concept mock-up. Like I said, Microsoft is not the only one who does this, but a lot of studios tend to announce too early, or to use my disgusting analogy from before, blow their load prematurely. But I think Xbox specifically has gained a lot of goodwill the past few years with Game Pass and now the Series X and xCloud. So I think it's not going to end them if they don't get their studios on their A game and showing off their best stuff here, but it will definitely be kind of disappointing in general. So Obsidian being one of their most important studios, at least what I think is most important studio, I think they should not only show something if they have something to show, but also show their best stuff. I don't know if this is the year to be showing off concept trailers and title cards. Your fans want to see all the investments that you've made come to fruition, or at least start. I think what we can confirm with all these rumors, despite them being wishy-washy, is that Obsidian will have some kind of presence at E3 with the Microsoft showcase. I would not be surprised if we saw some stuff about Grounded, like announcements or new features, or a release date for the full game coming out. Grounded has been in early access since last year, which, to be honest, early access to me is just kind of a nice way of saying open beta, but whatever, we're not going to get into that. Now, Obsidian did just ramp up the Outer Worlds a few months ago with its last DLC, and that kind of makes me weary as to how far along, again, the Outer Worlds sequel will be. How far along in development will be, should it be in the cards. Obviously, a lot of what they could show off is dependent upon how far along the various projects they already have are, and that's why I really don't know how much Avowed is really ready to show, unless they want to give another sneak peek and then not come back again for another year or two. And they have plenty of job postings, so they're hiring up for their current projects or upcoming projects, so it could be anybody's guess. The other possibility is that we don't see Avowed or anything at E3, but we get a trailer for it sometime after. It's possible that if there is a trailer on the way, if the notes from Sponger, our boy Sponger, are to be to believe, a trailer could be revealed surrounding E3, but not be the incredibly busy event itself, or maybe we'll see something later in the year. Remember, Microsoft will be showing off Halo likely, and the showcase is jointly run with Bethesda, and it is going to be 90 minutes in length, and that may seem like a lot of time, but it'll be over before we even know it. So how much is going to be there, and that can be shown at length. What I mean to say is, as I said before, if Obsidian has stuff to show, I will want it to be an A+ showing, if that makes sense. And I think even some of the directors of the DLCs are working on their own projects at Obsidian. I don't remember their names, so I'll probably just have their names pop up on the screen here, or I'll link it down below for you to look at. One last thing before I forget. Remember, the original Outer Worlds was published by Private Division, who has since stated that the Microsoft will be publishing any future content or sequels for the Outer Worlds sequels. I said sequels a lot, but they're going to be publishing sequels. Microsoft will be in the future. I don't think that means we're definitely going to see a sequel to the Outer Worlds at E3 or even soon, but it is fair to say the Outer Worlds IP is valuable, or at least they see it as valuable for Xbox, and I don't see them letting that go. I am a fan of Obsidian's work, to be honest, so I will be watching for something from them specifically to see what, if anything, they announce or put out. Understand, a lot of my thoughts and predictions here are trying to understand what exactly is in the pipeline for Obsidian and what they have ready to show, and even if they have a lot, why are there so many conflicting reports? I can't speak. Are they even going to show anything? I don't know. You know. Maybe you know. Maybe you have some secret sources that are feeding you all kinds of information, like what I had for lunch yesterday. It was Wendy's, by the way. I know. I'm disgusting. But either way, we only have less than a week to find out if they're going to show anything. So we will find out, and then we can put all these rumors to bed, and I myself can stop speculating. But that's all I have today, guys. Now I leave it to you. I really don't know how to talk. I leave it to you. What do you think Obsidian is cooking up, if anything? Will we see any of it at E3? E3. Do you even care? If you want to get more of my extended E3 thoughts and predictions or discussion, you can check out a stream I did with Last Known Meal and click for gameplay and Baldur'd Gaming over on Last Known Meal's channel. You can check that out if you want some of my extended thoughts, but for now, this is just my thoughts on what Obsidian might be cooking up for E3. Now, of course, thumbs up the video if you liked it, and thumbs down if you didn't. Subscribe, of course, if you want, and thanks for watching. I love you all. Maybe. Maybe I don't. I don't know.